This is the voice of the New York Football Giants, Bob Papa, and you are listening to the best throughout Europe, the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to a bonus episode this week where I'm joined by Kev, but we're also delighted to have a special guest lined up, Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. Ryan, first thing first, thanks ever so much for taking time out to join us for this episode this evening. How have you been keeping?
Yeah, everything. Nice. Yeah, everything is. Yeah, everything's good. Let's talk some Giants football. Some excitement about the John Harbaugh era.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I'm going to start off today. Obviously, there's been a lot of change this off-season in terms of the Giants coaches. What's the feeling been in terms of the John Harbaugh hire and the guys that he's brought in? Is there anything you've heard from how the kind of players have found him when they've been speaking to him, or how they're taken towards the things that maybe he's got lined up for the season?
Yeah, I think from the inside the building, the players, whatnot, the sense around the John Harbaugh era is much needed fresh start, no nonsense, kind of the right guy at the right time for a team that's long tenured players are tired of losing. Some guys kind of got away with some stuff under the old regime that I don't think they're going to get away with now, and I think their teammates that weren't pushing the boundaries are going to be happy that some of that will be cleaned up. So I think it's a sense for the players and for the building of this. Can't believe that this guy was available because this is exactly who we needed, rather than starting over with another first timer and hoping we hit the lottery.
Just wanted to ask you, Ryan. With free agency now, like I said, we're in the second week of free agency. It was mad a few weeks ago, but from your experience and looking at the sort of organization now, who do you think's having the most influence on this free agency? Do you think it is John Harbaugh? Do you think it's Joe Shane? How much input do you reckon Don Aponte's having on this current regime during this free agency?
Yeah, good question. It's definitely John Harbaugh. There's no doubt he's driving the bus. He is the guy who says who he wants. Then he goes to, the scouts and the GM and the other executives for information on what they see, watching the tape and stuff. Don Aponte deals with the agent and puts the contracts together. But he is the one who's basically in charge of, yeah, we want him. No, we don't want him. So maybe sometimes he brings the player to the front office. Maybe sometimes the front office brings the player to him and says, what do you think of this guy? But he's the one who's rubber stamping. He's the one who's stamping approval, yes or no, on who's coming to his roster. So Don Aponte is, I would say, kind of like on a even-ish playing field with Joe Shane, in terms of Joe Shane does the scouting part of it and she does the business and contracts part of it. And he's still the general manager, but mostly in a football sense, whereas she's doing kind of like Dave Gettleman was, where he didn't really do much of the business side of it. He did the scouting side of it. That's what Joe Shane is still doing. But Harbaugh, basically, if you're making a pyramid chart, Dawn and Joe are probably here, and then it goes like this up to Harbaugh.
Yeah, you can kind of see that. I mean, I wasn't expecting too much big change in the first year with Don Aponte coming in, but it seems like everyone was expecting radical new contracts and contract layouts and stuff like that. But it seems like things are quite sort of like the same so far. But
yeah, they haven't really changed their contract structure yet. Look, maybe they will down the line. They haven't gotten into the whole void years that the Eagles do. They haven't really change the structure of, front loading or back loading, or they haven't really, it's pretty much the same standard issue contract that guys are getting that they got under Kevin Abrams. Kevin Abrams' philosophy was you don't push money into the future until you're good. And then when it's your window, that's when you do everything you can to extend that window and push void years and stuff to keep it going. But you don't want to do that stuff while you're building, because then when you're good, you'll be paying the price for getting good. So he was always of the philosophy that you get good, then you try to extend being good, then you pay the price for, being good for a long time, not get good and then you're like, oh well, now we're good but we have $80 million in dead cap.
So is that something you consider Giants may be doing if they turn this around in the next couple of years? That so they've been quite reluctant since Joe Shane's come in, especially to kind of utilise void years compared to especially the rest of the league. So is that something you could envision the Giants doing when maybe they're a bit more of a regular team in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who the general manager is then, right? Like, there's no guarantee it'll be Joe Shane beyond this year. So I would say that they'll run practice. I would say they're every one of their business practices, whether it's handling the cap, whether it's trading down in the draft, everything is going to model the Ravens. That would be my. So if the Ravens do it, the Giants are going to do it.
Just a quick one to go on that as well. Like, so Joe Sheehan, what do you think he needs to do for him to get an extension to stay with this organization longer than this 1 year? And then on the flip side, what needs to happen for the Giants to move on from him, I suppose, next year?
He needs to prove to John Harbaugh that he knows that he's knows football, basically, that he has a good eye for talent, that he can not just that they see eye to eye on what the right skills are in free agency and the draft and team building, that he has an eye for finding guys on the waiver wire, which he did his first year here. That they see football the same and that he has a good eye for talent and that he can take a lot off Harbaugh's plate in terms of Harbaugh can coach the team and run practices and doesn't have to be scouring the waiver wire for, 53rd man pickups, because he can trust Joe Shane to do that. He has to win over John Harbaugh. That's what he has to do.
A question we've had from Craig, who you've spoken to before when you were last on this episode, and I want to say the summer of 2024. He's asked, we're not going to go into too much terms in regards to individuals, but obviously you got Mara's health combined with the Steve Tisch situation. How involved has Chris Mara been in the free agency process, and did it impact us in regards to free agency at all? With obviously not having ownership, the two main owners, I should say, at the forefront of everything.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to, so I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I do. I don't know the answer to that. That's something, you know what? Honestly, that's something I probably should look into, and I haven't. You spend so much time trying to talk to agents about what players might be interested in stuff. I really haven't had a single conversation about Chris Mara since the Harbaugh recruitment. So don't know. Good question. Don't know. Obviously, ownership has to put out the money for these signing bonuses and whatnot, but I don't think. Look, John was never really involved in like the day-to-day of free agency. Like, we should sign this guy or we shouldn't sign that. He was always, I think, much more involved in the draft. That is, I think, where Chris Mara's expertise comes from. So it'd be interesting to see what his role in the draft is. Like, there's going to be a big contingent of Giants people tomorrow at Ohio State's Pro Day. There was a big contingent of Giants people at Colorado's Pro Day last year. Chris Mara was on that plane to Colorado to see Shedeur Sanders. It'd be very interesting to see if Chris Mara is in Ohio State tomorrow for Carnell Tate or Caleb Downs,
Sonny
Styles, and Arvell Reese. Yeah, very interested to see if that's a very good question. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to pretend to, but it's a very good question.
So just going back to with Harbaugh coming in and the player side of things, we kind of seen with some players coming back to the Giants about like sort of like clean slates. And I'm thinking about the cornerback situation. Now, I know we signed Greg Newsome, which I personally think is quite a good signing. I don't know if I want to go into the season with him being a bona fide number two, but I do think he's sort of that. I do like the redemption arc story anyway. I'm one of those glass half full type of guys. But Deontay Banks, I'm just wondering, is there a way for him to get a clean slate? And with Denard Wilson's background as a secondary coach, do you think there's enough talent there and there's enough want to on his part to work towards getting back to a position where he can start for the Giants?
A lot of different questions there. So here's what I'd say. If Evan Neal can get a clean slate, anybody can get a clean slate. So yes, he can get a clean slate. Denard Wilson runs a scheme that has press coverage tendencies. It's, whatever, a distant cousin of the scheme that Wink Martindale ran when he was with the Giants. Deontay Banks' best year was his rookie year under Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale was a big proponent of drafting Deontay Banks. Deontay Banks' best skill is just go out there and play, I got you, basically. Like, I don't have to do a whole lot of thinking.
Yeah.
I got you, and I'm going to mirror you. So if he's asked to do that, I think he can be a decent player. So if you told me that somebody was going to salvage him, it would be somebody from the Wink Martindale tree, descendant of the Wink Martindale tree, whatever. So Wink Martindale worked, Mike McDonald worked under Wink, Denard Wilson worked under Mike McDonald, blah, 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 blah. So is there enough want to in Deontay Banks? He has not shown me that. So when you were asking me the first question about the John Harbaugh era, he's somebody that, like John Harbaugh, the number one things he says is guys who love football. I don't know if Deontay Banks loves football. I don't know the answer to that. He hasn't shown me that. So he's somebody this needs to be a wake-up call hiring for him because he's got the talent. It would not surprise me if he played 10 years in the NFL. It will surprise me if Evan Neal plays 10 years in the NFL. So he's got the talent. He needs to wake up and, give more of an effort to become a John Harbaugh guy. But you're right. Looking at the depth chart, there's an opportunity here for him.
Yeah, and just speaking of that, Evan Neal, I mean, it was so funny to see that tweet that you posted come out and then for it to be Evan Neal. And I understand some people thought that it was going to be a marquee signing, a big name.
Correct. I didn't say a marquee signing.
No, I know.
Outrageous. Yeah. I said outrageous.
And it definitely ticked that box because one.
What does outrageous mean over in the UK and Ireland, guys? I mean, outrageous means jaw dropping, right?
We dropped the message in the group chat and stuff, and every person in the group chat was like, "No, this can't be true." Who's saying this? Where's it coming from? It was just so funny. It was so surreal. But and then Azudu coming back as well. I mean, the right guard position. The reason why I'm asking the question is because the right guard position now is a massive hole. It looks like a massive hole in the offensive line. I mean, I think we could run it back with the other four players, and getting Illuminor signed for the deal he got signed for was a stroke of genius, in my opinion. I think it was such a fantastic deal.
I think it was the best move they've done so far.
It was. I mean, his market value, in my opinion, would have been easily 16 to 19 per. But to get him back at a sort of a team-friendly 13, I think was great business. And obviously, he wanted to come back, so I understand it was good for both parties. But I'm just wondering about that right guard because there doesn't seem to be that many players out there who could come in and fill in the position straight away. I mean, someone like Kevin Zeitler obviously could come in and do a job, and Petonio could as well. But I'd be happy with Greg Van Roten coming back. But are we kind of burning our bridges a little bit there by not getting that deal done now and letting it play out?
Yeah, I think they're playing with fire a little bit with Greg Van Roten. I think the Giants' offensive line is better as a whole than they are as individuals, which is something that's a hallmark of good offensive line. The sum is greater than the individual parts. I don't think, Andrew Thomas is really good. The other four guys, I think, the more they play together, they've become a pretty good unit. They were above average last year. I would bring Greg Van Roten back, and I would not risk him. I would not risk insulting him. I would not risk him feeling like a afterthought and going somewhere else. I would sign. Offensive lines. He's played. He hasn't missed a game due to injury since 2020. I don't care that he's 35 years old. That's a skill to be durable. So I would bring him back. I think they're risking playing with fire. You cannot, under any circumstance, have Evan Neal or Josh Azudu penciled in as a co-starter or anything on their backups. So if you don't get him, you got to go get somebody. Miami's pro day was yesterday. Francis Mauagawa is certainly an option for the Giants at 5. He could be the day one right guard, though he's never played that position in college. People do believe he would be a great guard in the NFL. He could play that position for a couple years and then kick out when Jermaine Illuminor is done. He could become your right tackle. So he's very much a possibility, but again, they have a lot of holes you want to fill. You only get one first-round pick, and you can't fill corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver, and what position were we just talking about? And
guard.
And guard, yes, and guard. You can't fill all 5 of those at with one pick. So I do think there's a possibility he's the pick. I do think there's a possibility they just signed Van Roten. I don't like the idea that it's taking so long. They were not involved in Wyatt Teller, to my knowledge. They did not swing and miss on Teller. He was not somebody they were pursuing. I heard they were interested in Daniel Falele, the Ravens. Former Ravens draft pick. It was not a fan favorite in Baltimore. I don't believe he has signed yet. I think he's still a free agent, so that's a possibility. He was like their Evan Neal, like a punching bag for the fans, but their Evan Neal still started the last 34 games, so he's a better player than Evan Neal. Maybe just needs to change the scenery. So either way, I think unless they draft Mauagawa, I think they're looking at a 1 year temporary solution at right guard, not a long-term answer.
A couple of positions there you've mentioned that obviously have got holes, and a question we've had from one of our listeners, Steve. He said, what do you think the possibility would be of Odell Beckham Jr. coming back on a one year Just
you must have known this was coming, Ryan.
Okay, so I get this question a lot. Okay. Him and Harbaugh ended on good terms, apparently. I found that out today. So, I don't think it ended well for Beckham in Baltimore, but not with Harbaugh, if that makes sense. I think they're okay. So, I don't think the relationship there would be an obstacle. I think Beckham would love to come back. I think he would love to come back to the Giants, play for Harbaugh, full circle his story, be back in New York where he can make money off the field. If I'm the GM of the Giants or the head coach or running the show, I don't want any part of it. This is a new era of the Giants. I don't want any of the old baggage. He just can't come here and be the 4th or 5th receiver and live quietly in the shadows like he can in Jacksonville or, Kansas City. Too much of a circus. Or whatever. Yeah, he's still gonna be first-round pick Odell Beckham, and he's still gonna be the guy who made the catch, and he's still gonna be somebody that has a ton of media around him, and he's still gonna be. You're gonna watch practice, and you're gonna see him go like this, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, is he showing up Jackson Dart?" Because 10 years ago he showed up Eli Manning. So it's just he's never gonna escape what he was in New York. I would not do it. I get that he's better than Jalen Hyatt even now, but I don't think he has a ton left in the tank. I don't think he has much left at all in the tank. I know he was great in a flag football scenario. He didn't play last year. He had 12 catches, 18 catches the year before that. I don't think he's going to give you a lot, and I think he's going to come with a huge circus around him. And you also have to decide if you want him around Malik Neighbors. Do you think he's humbled and learned from mistakes and would be a good influence on Malik Neighbors, or do you think he's going to teach Malik Neighbors to live the lifestyle that he lived when he was the it guy in New York? I don't know the answer to that.
And then just before we go on to kind of a little bit of draft talk, last position that kind of the Giants haven't really addressed is obviously defensive tackle. Is there anything regarding the like little rumours about Christian Wilkins? Do you think that there's anything there, or do you think is it a case of people just putting two and two together in regards to like obviously good mates with Dexter Lawrence and they played together at Clemson?
So they have Shelby Harris in for a visit today. That's the kind of player that I think they are looking for, like a veteran stopgap who's had some success. He's 34 years old, but he just has a sense of like he knows what he's doing. That's I think who they're looking for. If you were going to take a flyer, I guess I would take a flyer on Christian Wilkins before I take one on Odell Beckham because he's younger and, he has Dexter Lawrence in his corner, and Dexter Lawrence isn't thrilled, I don't think, with his contract. So maybe that's a way to butter up Dexter Lawrence is that we're going to bring in your buddy. I don't know. I don't know enough about what happened with the Raiders. You hear things that I wouldn't be comfortable saying. I don't know how he'd be welcomed into a locker room. I assume if he's welcomed into any locker room, it would be this one because of Dexter Lawrence is one of the most respected guys, and he could just stand up and say, look, this is my guy. But also, can he play? Like, he was banged up. He had surgery before any of this happened, right? Like, I also don't know, can he play? That's like the Odell Beckham thing. Like, all that stuff, whatever. But, like, can he play? Odell Beckham can't play anymore. Like, people are like, oh, when's Colin Kaepernick coming back? Well, it's been 8 years since he played. So, like, he can't play anymore. Yeah. Like, and forget about all the other stuff. Like, he can't play anymore. So, like, I don't know if Christian Wilkins can play anymore. Like, I'd have to find that out. Like, so you're not getting the guy who signed the $14 million contract with the Raiders. So, I have not heard that the Giants would take that chance. Not once have I heard that. That doesn't mean they won't, but I have asked around about that. Unlike the Chris Mara thing I haven't asked about. I have asked around about Wilkins. I get a lot of lukewarm. I don't know if that's the right fit, but it hasn't been ruled out. So,
just a quick final one. We were all very high on Darius Alexander last year coming out of Toledo, and we were delighted when we picked him in the draft. Took him a little while to get going, but he did sort of flash sort of things later on in the season. How is he thought of within the Giants as a potential player going forward?
I don't know how he's thought of by this regime. I haven't even met the defensive line coach yet. But Andre Patterson was fond of him, sent him a message early in the season by inactivating him because he didn't think he really, was all that focused during training camp, really brought his A game. Definitely a player who got better. I think the message worked. He got better as his rookie season progressed. I would think that the front office still thinks highly of him. They're still in place. They used a 3rd-round pick on him. But he's an older player, so he's got to get it together soon. I would think he's looked at as a rotational guy, like not somebody we want to start right now, but somebody we want to give 15 to 20 snaps a game to, something like that.
Okay, that makes sense. So moving on to a bit of draft talk now. Now, I have to admit, Ryan, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, so if you can see up here. And I've been dying for the Giants to draft a big Notre Dame player for a long, long time. And I know you love your running backs.
I do.
And I'm just a quick question. Can you see Jeremiah Love going to the Giants at number 5?
Yes, I think it's very real. So people love to throw out the term smokescreen. A smokescreen is something that's not real, that is out there to create a distraction. This is not a smokescreen. Doesn't mean they'll draft Jeremiah Love. He could be 5th on their board and Caleb Downs could be 3rd, and they're both sitting there and they're going to pick Caleb Downs. So that doesn't mean they weren't a different scenario weren't going to pick Jeremiah Love. It's real that they're interested. John Harbaugh has not picked a player this high in his life, doesn't intend to be picking this high again. His goal is not like, oh, I need to fill cornerback with a starter, or I need to I need to think about the 2031 Giants and make sure we're picking a player whose second contract we got to get somebody on a cheap deal now because their second contract is going to be enormous. So I got to manage the 2031 salary guy. He's not thinking about any of that. He's thinking about, I want to draft a Hall of Fame player. Like, I want to draft a difference maker. And like, that's Jeremiah Love. That's Caleb Downs. I don't know if I would say that's Sonny Styles. I think that's Caleb Downs. I think that's Jeremiah Love. I don't know. Maybe Arvell Reese. Maybe. I think I probably think the two best non-quarterbacks in the draft are Downs and Love. That's probably my opinion, unless I'm missing somebody. So I would not be surprised at all, to answer your question, if they drafted Jeremiah Love, especially because if they don't draft him, they are aware that they're going to have to face him twice a year, because if they don't draft him, the Commanders will.
I definitely can see that. That'd be so frustrating. But with so many sort of like holes on the team and so many positions the Giants can go, if you were making the pick at 5 and you had pretty much all the players to pick from, who do you think would be the best fit for this Giants team this year?
Right now, I would do everything I could to trade down. I would try to trade down to 10 because I think Vega from Penn State would be there. I think there's a chance that Mauigoa would be there. I think there's a chance Carnell Tate would be there. Somewhere 9, 10, something like that. I would try to trade down. That would be, and then I could maybe recoup a 3rd round pick since I don't have one. That's what I would want to do. And if I didn't do it at 5, I'd try to do it in 36 or whatever their 2nd round pick is. I'd try to do it there. I would try to get more shots at the dartboard. Right now, today, 5:01 p.m., March 24th, I would take Francis Mauigoa at 5 if he was there, because that right guard situation scares the bejesus out of me. Now they go sign Greg Van Roten. You want to text me? I'll give you an update. Like, that would change my thought process. I understand. I just told you what John Harbaugh is thinking, not about filling spots for this team. He's thinking about drafting Hall of Fame players. I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking I want a player who's going to impact the Giants right now and be good for the long term. John Harbaugh, I think if he was picking today, I think he would pick Love or Downs. That's what I think he would do. But to me, you want to see Newman, you signed Holland, you have Scat, Tracy. Like, to me, I'm like, I feel okay about those positions. So I don't feel okay about right guard. I don't feel great about corner. So I would probably try to trade down, consider Mansour Delane at 10, something like that. But if I'm stuck at 5, I'd probably take Mauigoa right now.
So obviously you mentioned there you think John Harbaugh's eyeing up obviously Downs or Jeremiah Love. If it comes down to those two and they're both on the board, who do you think they're going to lean towards, and what do you reckon the thinking will be behind it? Is it obviously because the Giants could potentially break tradition, so to speak, in terms of NFL drafts? Safeties and running backs are very rarely taken so high up, even linebacker, if you wanted to chuck, like, say, a Sonny Styles in there. What do you think will become the deciding factor in what will make them choose between them?
Yeah, I think this draft is the Joe Shane's worst nightmare. And anybody like Joe Shane who believes in positional value, as I do not, I think this is their worst nightmare, because the best players are a safety, a running back, a guard, an inside linebacker. So this is a nightmare for somebody like that. So if you're telling me it's between Downs and Love, what would Harbaugh say? I mean, I'd 6-1, a half dozen of the other. I mean, I would say he probably would take Love. Would probably be my guess, but I can't say I have a good feel for that. I think he would throw a party if he was choosing between those two guys.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned there about, obviously, like,
I just say that, I'm just saying Love because I think they need more help on offense than they do on defense. I think he probably recognizes that, but
yeah, and it would help Dart's development massively as well, having a weapon like that. Just you were saying about obviously the ideal scenario would be to trade back and accumulate more picks, but always look at that early day 2 pick, at pick 37, can you see a scenario where everyone goes to bed after the first night, everyone sort of reevaluates the board, and then could you see the Giants then taking that 37 pick and then turning that into a couple of
Yes.
4th round picks or something like that?
Yes, I could. It was something where they trade from 37 to 52 and add a 3rd or a 4th round pick. Yeah, I think that's a very Ravens-esque move that I think the Giants. Today, 5:04 on March 24th. I will be surprised if the Giants pick 37th. Like that to me is a prime situation where I think it was Daniel Jeremiah at NFL Network said like players 25 to 75 in this draft are all very similar. Like to me, the Giants could look at like, hey, we're going to get the same caliber guard at 52 as we do at 37, so we could make that trade down. And, instead of Shane Bassinitis, then we get the guy with the great mullet.
Stunning.
Yeah. Jennings Dunker.
Yeah.
That would be a Ravens-esque move that I think the Giants would do. Yes.
Do you know, just quickly before we come to the last question there, talk about Raven-esque move. There's been a lot of 1-year signings in free agency. Do you think it's very much a case of let's go out there and prove their worth as players, or is it does it come into the comp pick formula where they are our players, therefore they're hitting free agency next year, therefore they would count towards the formula in the future?
Great question. I asked that myself. So originally I thought it was all about prove-it contracts, trying to manage a salary cap with some constraints, because that's what the Giants have traditionally done. I see 1-year contract, I think, prove it. Asking around the NFL, people have told me, no, this is them trying to get in the comp pick game. I don't think of the Giants in the comp pick game. I've had to recalculate my brain a little bit. This is them trying to get in the comp pick game because you sign a guy to a 1-year contract. It's a low risk, high reward kind of thing. If he plays poorly, he's off your team next year. If he plays well and you re-sign him, maybe you get a hometown discount. He likes it here. This is where he rejuvenated his career. Like maybe you turn that 1 year into something more with him. And if he plays well and leaves, then you're in the comp pick game. So that's what now look, I think they have a lot of money to spend next year. So it would surprise me if next year they lose more than they spend. So, but this might just be about establishing good practice where like, this is what we're going to do going forward, whether it pays off in 2027 or not. In 2029, we're still going to be giving out 1-year contracts because this is what we do.
Yeah, you want to get to a point where you're drafting good players and you're re-signing your own good players and not going in.
That's why they have so much cap space, is because they don't re-sign their draft picks. They're not getting any deals done because Deontay Banks isn't worth a second contract. Yeah. So like, it's great they have second contracts. They also don't have a lot of players under contract.
Obviously, we've kept you for 33 minutes. Just one last question for you. We're going to come away from the draft talk and free agency talk, but we're going to stick to the rumours and social media. A lot of rumours about the Giants coming back to Europe this coming season. The big one seems to be Lions, Giants at Munich. Have you heard anything different to what's been rumoured? Is this something that us folks over here in UK and Ireland can get excited for and look forward to maybe later this season?
Yeah, no, I think that's what it's going to be. Just asking around, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Giants-Lions game somewhere. Maybe Germany. I think that is, I think it could be in Germany, right? Don't they both have marketing rights somewhere?
Yeah.
Is that Germany?
And they're both in Germany, and Lions have been confirmed for Germany already.
Yeah. So so there you go. So yes, the intel around the NFL is that would be a mid-season game somewhere on the schedule. Giants at Lions in Germany. Yes, that is not confirmed, but that is the buzz around the NFL.
Yeah.
Kev's just having a camera. Kev, your camera's gone off. Just whilst you try and sort that, just a sub question to that, Ryan. Obviously, you mentioned it'll be Giants at Lions. The Giants have been the road team for every game in Europe. When do you envision them giving up a home game? I seem quite reluctant to, for obvious reasons, but I know it's something that the league are keen for every team to do?
Good question. I don't know. Good question. This would have been the year because they have 9 home games. I guess any year they have 9 home games, it's a possibility. Roger Goodell very much wants to get to a situation where everybody plays one international game a year, and there are 16 international games, and everybody plays one per year. That's his goal here. I would say my guess would be the next time they'd give up a home game, and that would be what? So they could have 9 home games 2 years from now. If you're asking me, I'll just guess 4 years from now. When they have 9 home games again, I'll guess 4 years from now they'll give up a home game and be somewhere in the UK.
Yeah, that's
somewhere in Europe. Yeah, 4 years from now, that'll be my guess.
Well, Kev's back with us. He's sorted out his camera issues just in time for us to round it up. I mean, Ryan, we kept you 35 minutes up. Appreciate you taking time out your schedule to join us here. We understand it's mental, and the next 2 weeks for you are probably going to be just as hectic as the last 2 weeks have been.
Yeah. One of those weeks I got to take my kids away, so spring break. So that's actually even more taxing than free agency or the draft. So. But yeah, it will be wild. And look, the team will get better. Like right now in free agency, I kind of feel like they just shuffled the puzzle pieces. I don't know that they got a lot better. I think that after the draft, you'll look at them and you'll say they're a better team.
Kev, anything you want to add?
No, just thank you for coming on. And I just want to ask a question. If the Giants do play in Germany, would you be making it over yourself?
Good question. I don't know. I'll certainly fight to get on that trip. There's probably some pubs I'd like to some pubs and pretzels I'd like to have over there. So I'll fight to make that trip. I don't know if I will, but I'll fight to make it. So.
And obviously, if you do, definitely let us know, because we've already got loose plans to be over there. It'd be brilliant to meet up and have a beer with you.
Yeah, show me a good time.
Right, that's everything. Thanks for Ryan again once joining us tonight, and obviously, as always, to you, the listeners. We're signing off until next time. Let's go, Giants.